Yes, folks, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to KGX to the ZTV. Um, Quick one today. Little EPL roundup. We haven't done one of these in a little while. Normally, we tend to do them before the international break, but the news has been somewhat slow. Um, we're coming off of a terrible performance versus Sunderland. There were some other crazy results. I wouldn't even say crazy too. Would you say crazy too much? Talking about Man City, talking about Liverpool. Um, in the run of form that they're in, Liverpool, not Man City. Man City going away to Aston Villa and things like that. I've decided, you know what? Let's talk about the current state of the league, some of the things that are going on, and the um, what happened. Looking ahead to the next match week, big one, Tottenham Chelsea, 3 point lane. Um, a lot of pressure on us, pressure on Spurs, who I think are currently sitting third. But yeah, let's get into it real quick. We've got the fixtures up on the screen now. We will go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. I know, folks. I know, a little hard to see, but yeah, man. Weekend started off. Match week 9 started off with Leeds and West Ham. West Ham again, just just poor from West Ham. I actually watched this one on Friday. Um, Put me to sleep. I'll be honest with you. I was dozing off a little bit in the second half. West Ham, they're in danger. They're in big, big danger, and I don't know how or if they get out of it. Started the season with Graham Potter. Started terribly. Um, Sacked Graham Potter. Brought in Nuno, who was sacked from Forest. Nuno is not hitting the ground running. Um, could be sacked twice, just like Big Ange. Could you imagine two managers sacked twice before Amarin? But I guess Amarin, we'll talk about Man United a little bit. But um, yeah, I mean, the quality of players that West Ham has, Paquetas, Jared Bowens, even the guys that they brought in that they spent money on, Fulkrug hasn't hit the ground running. Tadibo, not impressed. I've seen that brother play 5, 6 times for West Ham. I know he came in with a lot of hype. I don't see it. He is a walking mistake. Poor, not even a good athlete, um, which is crazy because the run of center backs that France has right now is it's on a different level in terms of the quality. Gabriel's, I mean, I'm sorry, Saliba, Konate, Upamecano, then even some of the younger guys that they have coming up that are just sensational. But he ain't one of them. He ain't one of them. So no chance in hell for him to make the World Cup squad. But with this one, Leeds got off to a good start. I think it was Brendan Aronson. Shout out the U.S. men's international team. Um, Scored, and I think there were some rumors or some trepidation from some of the Leeds fans when they saw his name on the score sheet because he hasn't really been hitting the heights that he did last year in the championship. But he played well in this one. Leeds played well. Ampadu, big fan of Ampadu, was a big fan of his when he was at Chelsea coming up through the ranks. Thought he always was a quality player, but just injuries just really sort of set him back. Went out on loan a couple times, maybe three times, got himself right. I think he went to Italy one time, came back, and it seemed to found a home at Leeds, captain of Leeds. So super happy for Ampadu. Good kid, good player, very solid player. Not going to overwhelm you, but just does all the basics right and things like that. But yeah, big win for Leeds and West Ham. They're going to be flirting with relegation and in that relegation zone all season. Talked about the Chelsea and Sunderland game on my channel and in the video, obviously dedicated to that one. So I won't get into that one too much. But yeah, we started the weekend off on Saturday morning here over in the Eastern time. I think 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Yeah, 3 p.m. kickoff over there. For us, but simultaneously with that one was Newcastle Fulham. Fulham got off to the start 1-1 or 1-0, and then did they? Yeah. No. Newcastle got all to it. Fulham equalized through Sasha Lukic and then Bruno Gomares. I watched the extended highlights, obviously, because Chelsea was playing at the same time, and I'm not going back to watch. I'll be honest with you, ain't no chance in hell I'm going back to watch a Newcastle Fulham game. But Bruno G with the late goal, um, looked like they kind of dominated proceedings a little bit. Maybe as you could say, it's a little 50-50. Both teams in double digit shots. Uh, possession, excuse me, possession about even, but big win for Newcastle, who seems to be getting things right. Walter Mate, what a signing, what a player. Jacob Murphy was also a good signing. We know the quality that their midfield has. Bruno, Tonali, Joe Wellington, Luke Miley can step in there. It's been playing a little while for them. So big, like I said, big result for them. Um, for them to sort of help make a push. I actually thought, they got a lot of slack and a lot of stick early in the window for not having a great window. But I actually thought that they were I thought they finished the window very, very well. I thought they added some pieces. Voltamata definitely hit the ground running better than Isak has. Um, Malik Tao stepped into that center back slot alongside Dan Burn, alongside Botman at times, to really help solidify that back line. Any trip to St. James's Park is going to be a very, very difficult one. But for them, um, it was sort of just waiting to kind of get some of those new pieces gelled, and it takes takes players new times or time to adjust to the league. Takes players time to adjust to the tactics. But Voltamata, like I said, him and Ekitike have probably been the two best attacking signings of the season so far. Both of them very similar in quality, right? Both tall, both lanky, both very, very good with their feet. Stronger than what you would think, but always just aggressive, looking to get others into play, looking to get on the ball, not afraid of contact. Both very of same image or same age quality, an age bracket, but yeah, Newcastle looking to be a serious challenger for that top four, top five, whatever that may be, in terms of whatever that last Champions League spot is. I don't think the coefficient actually starts coming into a play until we get out of the group stages of all the European competitions. But big result for them. Wolves and Burnley. Wolves, another team that's looking like they're struggling right now. Chelsea's got them away in the Carabao Cup tomorrow, but they're also a side that looks like they're probably going to go down after having been a mainstay in the Premiership for what about almost 10 years now. We know they had the huge Portuguese contingent there, especially when Nuno was the manager. But obviously, when you lose a player the likes of Cunha, and you can see Cunha's impact on the team, Jacob Bern Larson hasn't really been hitting the same heights that he did last year, and partly could be because they lost him, they lost Nori as well. So slowly and surely over the years, Chelsea picked up Neto off of them. They've been getting picked apart for some of their best players because they just can't hold on to them. And like I said, they spend money. They've had some really, really good players. Some of their midfielders, I kind of like some of them as well. But big win for Burnley. That's probably one of those that you look back on and say that's probably a 6-pointer. So big up Burnley for winning that. Some of the Sunday fixtures, Everton, Tottenham. This one was a huge, huge surprise for me. Not so much in the fact that Tottenham got the win, but the manner in which they got it. I think they had 2 set-piece goals and then a late goal. Everton at home have been pretty good so far this year. We know the quality that they've added with Grealish on the left and Dye or Ndoye, however you say his name, on the right-hand side. But with them, it's sort of the same old story with them, man. It's their striker situation is absolutely awful. Beto had a couple of chances, just like he had a couple of chances versus Man City to put to put Everton ahead, to sort of change the game and how the game state was flowing. But of course, he does what he does and doesn't take chances. And then credit the Spurs. Spurs getting in on the set piece, ole, 2 Mickey Van de Ven goals, and then I can't remember who scored that last one, but we'll take a look. Oh, sorry, yeah. Which is nice because I won't say nice, but it's a little surprising how Sarr's role has sort of diminished. I personally think he's their best midfielder of the current group that they have. So not counting Kulusevski, who's hurt, not counting James Madison, who's also hurt, and things like that. But he's a very energetic box to box player. It'll be interesting to see if Thomas Frank starts him against Chelsea on the weekend to sort of give them a little bit more legs in there. We know Paulina's a very good um, deep, I won't say deep lying six, but he's very good at doing the dirty work, putting himself about, getting tackles in. Um, Not very good on the ball, so when he does dispossess somebody, he usually finds the next pass fairly quickly. Pretty risk adverse when it comes to his passing and line breaking and things like that. But like I said, just a good solid player, good physicality, good on set pieces. Has popped up with a few goals here and there this year. So big win for Spurs. I think it puts them third, and we'll take a look at the standings after this. But huge win for them. Um, while that was going on, Aston Villa and Man City. Um, Once again, Man City go to Aston Villa and come away with nothing. They had a great chance early in this one. Erling Haaland was through on goal, 1v1 with Emi Martinez. Slightly tough angle. He had the ball on the right hand side of the box, so he had to sort of open up his body and try to slide it home with his left. But it wasn't a very good strike with him. And you would expect, as good as Erling Haaland has been, and when you're talking about who's been the best players and definitely best attackers or strikers in Europe so far this season, you'd say it's a competition between Mbappe and Madrid because he's been fantastic. That goal that he scored in the El Clasico, the one that didn't count, the offside was whoo, très bien. Him, Harry Kane has just been on absolute smoke. And then Erling Haaland, who's also been on smoke. I mean, Haaland, I think, is on pace to break his own record, which is just ridiculous at this point. But when you strip away City and you take a look at their attacking pieces minus Erling Haaland, they don't scare you. They don't scare you. And Big Steve mentioned this on the Big 60 the other day about they've gone from goal scoring wingers like Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling, Riyad Mahrez, established players. Although Sané was a younger guy when they brought him in from Schalke, but Sterling was definitely established at Liverpool, coming off that great maybe 2 years removed from that great SAS Sterling Suarez, and who was the other one? Sterling Suarez Coutinho. I can't remember who. Sterling Suarez. Yeah, Coutinho. That's gonna bother me, but yeah, him, and then Mahrez obviously was a Premier League winner, Player of the Year from Leicester. So they downgraded. They went from a winger quartet or trio of those three to Doku's having a fairly decent season, but I think his best work has been when he's been played a little bit more centrally or even behind Erling Haaland, to Savinho, who doesn't score goals, to Oscar Bob, who's a nice young player, but not good enough to start for a team of City's expectations. And then you throw in like a Phil Foden, who's not really a winger at all. So Mamouche, who's not really a winger at all. So they've got a lot of I'd say decent pieces and decent players, but not enough goals in there. And especially when you look at their back line and their defense, which, to be fair, versus Aston Villa, or versus to be fair to City versus Aston Villa, Villa did not cause too many damages to Man City. But again, there's times where they're just too easy to play against, both because of their attack is a little bit stagnant. They really need, for City to get going and for them to really threaten Arsenal this year. They need Phil Foden to go back to the Phil Foden of the year when he was Player of the Year, when City won their fourth in a row. Because if they don't, they're going to run into issues. So um, good weekend for the next team. We'll talk about Arsenal. Didn't watch this one, but I heard it was a boring, typical Arsenal game where they just don't create much. They do get the goal. I think, who was it? Was it Eze getting his first goal? Yeah, Eze getting his first goal. Very well taken goal. But again, versus Crystal Palace side, who's been a thorn in the side of a lot of big teams, right? Been a thorn, and they've got Liverpool tomorrow in the Carabao Cup. They drew versus us. They've beaten Liverpool, beat them twice already this year if you're counting the Community Shield. Look, it pains me to say it, and I texted my boy who's an Arsenal fan after this one, and I was like, "Congratulations on the league." When you look at the teams in this league, all of them apart from Arsenal, and you can still say Arsenal has some defensive or some deficiencies, but that back line, that defensive structure, that uh, ability to score goals on set pieces, it's a very, dare I say it, it's a very old school Chelsea side where you're not going to put too many past them. You're not going to you got to take your chances. You got to defend them against set pieces. You've got to clamp down on Saka on the right, and they've got a couple of match winners in there now. Um, but one thing about Arsenal, and I've mentioned this on streams before, is they've got squad depth this year. So when Saka goes down, you had Madueke come in. Madueke goes down, you still got Saka, you still got Wanyeri. They've got the left wing, they've got Trossard who can play out there, they've got Martinelli who can play out there, they've got Eze who can play out there, they've even got Max Dowman on the right hand side. Odegaard goes down, you've got Eze who can come in as the 10. You can play Rice as a 6, or you can play Zuba as the 6 and play those two and play a little bit more attacking. The defensive depth is just ridiculous, right? Ben White, Timber at right back. They've got Saliba, Gabriel, Mosquera, Calafiori who can play center back, Hincapi who came in. You've got Miles Lewis Skelly, and then of course Calafiori who I mentioned before, who can slide in at left back. And then you've got Raya in goal, who's a fairly solid keeper, although capable of bozo moments. Their squad depth is just ridiculous at this point. So it's really going to be it's really going to be it's going to take a lot. Liverpool's going to have to get it right really quickly. Man City's going to have to get it right. Chelsea, I don't think we have the talent to contend or to put a dent in them. I think we can beat them in a one-off game or here and there, but the consistency over the course of the season. And one of the things too, when you look at Arsenal, you look at how they turn some of those fixtures that they struggled with last year. So the likes of Newcastle away, West Ham, who's been sort of a thorn in their side, they flipped those fixtures. So if you're looking at it from the standpoint of, what do Arsenal need to do in order to win the league? Don't lose games to the big six teams. They've lost one to Liverpool and that won their free kick. But then you also need to beat the teams that you're expected to beat, and they've done that. They're keeping clean sheets. They just look a very formidable side, both in the league and then in Europe. So sad day. It's going to be a sad day when or if they lift the league. But to be honest with you, if you're looking at the best teams and the most standout team so far this year in the Premier League, it's them. Bournemouth 2-0 versus Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth just doing what Bournemouth do this year. Forest doing what they do. Poor Forest side. They did get their first win in a while under Dyche in the Europa League last Wednesday or last Thursday. But just that this Bournemouth side, man, you just can't say enough good things about them. They're getting goals from Semenyo. They're getting goals, like as you can see right here on the screen, Traverne, and then Krupi, who's looked like a pretty good signing. I know my boy Joey, one of the Chelsea guys, was waxing lyrical about Krupi. Football manager guys will always know, but they're just Areola had just coaching them up, right? You look at what they lost last year. They lost their keeper in Kepa. They lost all of their back four apart from their right back, and just got picked apart. And here they are once again, defensively solid, good structure, good formation. They're lethal on the counterattack. They've got a good system when it comes to trying to break down some of the lesser teams who might set up shop against them. They're just a fantastic side for Bournemouth. So definitely one to watch out for, and we'll see if they can kind of keep up that pace. Because we saw what happened with Forest last year when it came down to the crunch time and it came down to the business end of the season where they just couldn't keep it up. But big up Areola, big up Bournemouth. They're definitely going to be a tough side to face for all of the big sides this year. Brentford, this was probably the actual game of the weekend. Brentford holding out 3-2. They went up 2-0 in this one, and they went up almost right away, as you can see right here. right off the break. I think like the first long throw opportunity they had, they get a throw in, and I know there's a lot of criticism online about how much time that they were actually wasting on throw-ins. When you figure that they gotta wipe the ball, they've got to take time to get their players forward, then they throw it in and they muck about and things like that. Which to be fair, I hear the criticism about, not so much the criticism on Brentford, but more so of just add it in if you're going to take time and you're going to add time in for corners or set pieces like free kicks. And things like that. Why not add in for long throws and that kind of thing? So I hear it. I mean, I always was a proponent of you could just stop the clock, but uh, it's definitely something that we've seen become more prevalent in this league when it comes to the throw-ins and when it comes to kind of just mucking it about. Even Arsenal are doing it, although to be fair, Arsenal was doing it last year versus PSG, but it's a much more frequent tactic that's becoming, like I said, much more common these days. And I'm not a big fan of it, just from the standpoint of I think it ends up being rugby or NFL in the box where you just throw it in, you crowd the keeper. It's not football to me, right? And I'm not a snob because I've seen Chelsea win 1-0. I've seen Chelsea win disgusting football set pieces. Ivanovic, Terry, Carvalho, Alex, some of those guys, Thiago Silva, Rudiger, and all those likes over the years. But it's definitely something that I've seen that should be clamped down. But getting back to this one, Brentford, as you can see by the shots and by the shots on target, they Brentford deserved to win this one. Probably could have scored more. Um, Liverpool, Mama or whatever the hell his name is, had some pretty decent saves, but he looks like a keeper that is struggling to adapt to some of these long throws and some of the physicality in there. He's a very good shot stopper. He's horrible with his feet, but he's also been very poor when it comes to collecting crosses and claiming those kind of crosses and things like that. But Liverpool, they're all over the place, right? They this one they went to a what, like a 4-2-3-1 kind of. As we take a look at the lineup, and these are never really right, but yeah, they went with, with Isak being hurt, they went to they went to Verts in the 10, Salah back on the right hand side, and then Gakpo on the left, and Katike up top. Two-man midfield of Jones and Sabazalai. I think Jones ultimately went off hurt in this one. Kirkes, who has been getting a lot of stick, rightly so, because he's been absolutely pants so far this year. Van Dijk and Konate, who have been hit or miss as well. And then Connor Bradley, who I'll be honest with you, he just ain't it. But he's got to play it right back because Sabazalai's in midfield to give him some sort of balance and some stability there. And then Frimpong's hurt with his hamstring. So Mo Salah got his goal. Fantastic goal. Took it one touch with his, brought it down with his left, and then smashed it top bins with his right. But other than that, he was absolutely horrible. He looks so done physically, and you can tell because he just can't create any separation. And Mo Salah was never a great dribbler to begin with, but he had enough in his locker to get around somebody, and then that what the finishing historically looks like. But he just looks like a shell of himself. To be fair, the Verts didn't play bad at all in this game. He was creating chances. He was getting on the ball. He wasn't sort of shying away. But what it happens is it looks like Verts and Salah like to occupy some of those same spaces. I've seen Verts out wide out right, which you don't really want because he's not a pace and power guy. He's sort of a glider, drop a shoulder, kind of get someone off balance and then sort of skip by him. Gakpo on the left hand side, if he's not scoring, he's pretty much useless, right? He's not very good in link up play. Doesn't seem to be doing a good job. And I've heard a lot of Liverpool content creators and fans complain about Kirkes inverting and making underlapping runs instead of overlapping runs. But I've seen Kirkes make plenty of overlapping runs this season, but I just haven't seen Gakpo have the awareness or the ability to sort of hit him on some of those so he can send some crosses in. But they've been at sixes and sevens. Kanate got caught out in this one and looked like I don't want to say he looked like he gave up, but I know what Kanate's thinking in his mind. He's thinking if I get tight to him and if I bring him down either by accident or by design, he's getting sent off. So he sort of just lets the Brentford defend or Brentford attacker, and I think it was the second goal, Sade, who's got a lot of pace. And Sade was a good player. I think he came from the Bundesliga. Kind of get through and score his 1v1 with Mamada. How the fuck do you say this dude's name? Mamadashvili, with him. So, and then of course they get a penalty, which was somewhat controversial, but it looked. I mean, it was definitely a foul. It's just the controversy just came in terms of where did the foul occur? Did it occur in the box? Was it outside the box? I thought it was just on the fringes of being inside the box. Of course, I'm biased because I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I thought it was a fairly good call. But yeah, Liverpool is it's panic settings, and you can say it could be it could be over for them when it comes to the title race, right? You lose 4 games already this year, and you kind of think of the way that that Arsenal are moving right now. You're like in the way that their defense is moving. I mean, look at that. 14 goals conceded, probably puts them like tied for joint like fourth or fifth from the bottom. And you're looking at sides like West Ham, Wolves, Forest, who have been absolutely atrocious and things like that. Even the Chelsea defense 11 is way too much. And for all to say about their attack isn't firing, they've still got 16 goals, which is second in the league. But it's not clicking the way you would expect it to click with the money that they've spent on there. And I know Isak hasn't had a full preseason. I know Verts is acclimatizing to the league and things like that. But even with that, I mean, Isak shouldn't have any acclimation period, right? He knows this league. He's a quality player. He's got quality players around him more so than when he was at Newcastle. So why they're not clicking? Look, it's a balance issue. They're creating chances. They're just they've got players in a very bad state and a very bad run of form. So it's going to be extremely. They're going to have to click. They're going to have to go on a mad run. Which look, in all fairness to Liverpool and Slot, they're capable of going on those kind of runs. If you want to say what kind of teams are capable of that, Arsenal's capable of that. Man City's capable of that, and of course Liverpool are capable of going on 10-game unbeaten streaks and things like that. But it's going to take that. It's going to take a little bit of luck, because we've seen Arsenal already play some of their tough games. They've played away to the United. They've played away to in the Anfield. They've had City at home. They've got Chelsea coming up. They haven't had Spurs yet, which is rivalry for them, but pretty much only Spurs usually only give them trouble away at Tottenham Stadium. But yeah, Liverpool's going to have to figure it out, and they're going to have to figure it out quickly. So yeah, it's going to be a big one coming up. We'll take a look real quick at the week 10 fixtures. So obviously the big one is going to be Chelsea and Tottenham. Man City's got a tough one with Bournemouth on Sunday. That's going to be a good one. Liverpool, Aston Villa is going to be another good one. But apart from that, Arsenal should really handle business versus them. United seems to sort of got things back on track. And I don't think I talked about United, did I? Yeah, United 4, Brighton 2. I actually watched this one, and United were good money. Brighton's been good money for their victory, and Brighton's been a bogey team for them. Are we a little scared of United? I wouldn't say scared, because I think eventually they'll come back to earth, down to earth. But they've definitely improved. Liverpool sort of got their confidence up, and like I said in one of my similar videos like this, these games, you versus Brighton versus Forest, that's going to be the real test of Man United. We've seen United over the years raise their levels versus Liverpool, raise their levels versus City, raise it versus Chelsea, raise it versus Arsenal. But it's those games where they were getting bopped by Brentford, they were getting bopped by Brighton, by Sunderland, or not Sunderland, by Spurs and things like that. So they've done. Look, they've handled their business. They've scored goals. They're still leaky at the back. But it seems like they've got some good juju. They got some good momentum going. Cunha got off the snide, and Buemo scoring goals. Bruno even played halfway decent last time. Their keeper Le Mans has really looked like he's sort of given them some stability and some confidence in there. And this is one of the things I talk about all the time with Chelsea and with Robert Sanchez. Your stability at your goalkeeper position, it just calms everybody and sort of kind of allows defenders to play a little bit more freely because they know they've got somebody back there that's competent. So yeah, they're going to be definitely be a side to watch. But good fixtures coming up. Obviously, we'll probably be on some sort of watch along for the Chelsea Tottenham game. I'm nervous about it because I we're coming into it with off the back of the Sunderland defeat at home. We never really lose to Spurs away. Um, the pressure is going to be on us. I don't think the pressure is going to be as much on Spurs, but it'll be a tight game as it always is. It'll be a very eventful game. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this last week, match week 9. Um, Let me know what you think about this upcoming week. What matches are you guys looking most forward to? Is it Chelsea Tottenham? Is it Bournemouth? I'm sorry. Is it Liverpool Villa? Is it City Bournemouth? So yeah, a lot of sneaky ones in there. Um, we'll see. But hit that like, hit that subscribe, and we will see you at the next one. Peace.